Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the little-known world of private lending, presented by Scott Veach and his friend and mentor, Jay Conner. Jay Conner is the president of the Conner Marketing Group, the managing member of Conner Properties, and is known internationally as the Private Money Authority. Jay's also the owner of Easy Mortgages, a North Carolina mortgage brokerage firm, plus he is a leading expert on creative financing, marketing, and business development, as well as past president of Business Networking International.
Hello, my friend. This is Jay Conner. I want to thank you for taking the time to listen in as Scott and I present to you the little-known world of private lending. After serving for 22 years in the Navy, the Marine Corps, and finally the Army, Scott retired from military service in 2017. He moved to Huntsville and began work on Redstone Arsenal as a senior program analyst and as a systems engineer. Scott and Amanda, his wife of 30-plus years, have bought and sold several properties over the years as they moved around the country with the military, and recently decided to enter the world of real estate. There are many facets to the world of real estate, and because of the current glut of bank-owned properties entering the market, Scott has decided to focus in on this area. Buying bank-owned properties not only affords the opportunity to build wealth, it also provides an outlet to Scott's ultimate desire to contribute to his community in a positive way. Buying bank-owned properties lends itself to improving the area and offers homes to people looking for affordable housing where essentially all the major items have been replaced with more expensive new models. This allows home seekers an opportunity to buy a newer home for existing home prices. Scott is a proud member of my High Platinum program and mastermind group. Now listen in as we explain how you too can earn high rates of return safely and securely. Ladies and gentlemen, stress-free investing. What you're about to discover is a great way to earn high rates of return safely and securely in a way that most folks don't even know exists. On this CD, I'm bringing you a very special message about how you can greatly increase the value of any investment capital you or your IRA currently has in a CD or a money market, mutual fund, commodities, or stock market, or, as a matter of fact, anything else. This message is about creating wealth with passive investments secured by real estate for a safe and very attractive return. Most people try to generate retirement income by following conventional wisdom and letting other people control their money and make the decisions for them. By the time they need the money, they discover they have barely kept up with inflation and the cost of living has risen faster than their investments. Now let me tell you, listen in. This CD is not about conventional wisdom, and it's a fact. The super wealthy person who earned his or her wealth does not live by conventional wisdom. You see, if you do things like everybody else, you'll have to be satisfied with the low returns that following the herd mentality produces. Now, here's the good news. You no longer have to accept low rates of return. Friend, you've received this CD so you can consider joining forces to create a mutually beneficial and profitable relationship. With this program, you don't have to watch the stock market, you don't have to call your broker, and you don't have to wait for the next stock market crash. My job is to find great deals on properties that may or may not need rehabbing and agree to buy them at cash wholesale prices. With this program, private lenders can invest their money and earn high rates of return safely and securely because their investment is always secured with a deed of trust on the property. This is a very lucrative investment vehicle for private lenders for many of these reasons. First of all, is the safety issue. You see, I don't allow my private lenders to invest more than 75% of the after-repaired value of the property. So, in case Jay Conner loses his mind, you as my private lender are left with a huge amount of equity as a safety cushion. That way, if my private lender had to sell the property, they could quickly recoup the investment and even make a profit on the property. So the very worst thing that could happen is my private lender ends up owning a house at a very deep discount. If that happens, my private lender can hire a realtor, sell it, make not only their interest, but a huge profit. Not a bad thing. Now next, a higher return is very attractive. You see, now listen to this closely. You see, I can pay my investors today up to 20 times as much money as they can earn from a 12-month CD, and sometimes even more than that. What's more, they earn this high return regardless of what's happening in the stock market. You can rely on it and not have to worry about the principal fluctuating, going up and down. The principal remains the same, and the private lender keeps earning the money over and over and over again. You may be wondering why anyone such as I would be willing to pay a high rate of return. Why would I do that? Well, it's because the quick availability of funds is more important than paying a lower rate to the bank. Really. I look at my lenders like silent partners. I give them a high, dependable, and safe return secured well by real estate, and they supply the short-term capital to grow my business. It's a win-win for everybody. Plus, banks require applications, extra time to close, extra closing cost, and they have limits as to the number of loans they can make to any one company or investor. You see, I can move much faster without these limitations by using my private lenders. As a result, I can negotiate more profitable deals while offering sellers a quick and easy sale. Incidentally, making high interest loans is nothing new. There are companies in our city and your city doing it right now, and they've been doing it for over 40 years or more. They're called finance companies or secondary lenders. Listen, it's a multi-billion-dollar industry. Companies like the Money Store, Coastal Finance, Beneficial Finance, Household Finance, Avco, American General. These are just a few examples. Their specialty is helping people who want to refinance or purchase a home to live in but can't qualify for those nice low-interest loans. Oh, by the way, before I get off the subject, just pull out one of your credit card statements and look at the rate. Congratulations! You also are a person like me who's willing to pay a high interest rate for short-term money that's easy to get. And of course, the reason you're willing to do that is because you're placing the availability of funds above and a priority above the cost every time you use one of those cards. Like I said, it's a multi-billion-dollar industry. Now, here's a thought. Well, actually, it's more than a thought. It's reality for many of my lenders. What if we could turn the tables on the banks and grow rich the same way they have by using other people's money? Listen, here's what happens. When banks make a loan, they do it with your money. That's the money you are allowing to lie around in savings accounts and CDs at low rates that net less than the cost of inflation. You receive a few paltry percentage points while the bank loans your money out at a higher rate. You see, they receive the difference, which is referred to as the spread. The spread amounts to billions of dollars monthly. That's why the banks have got the big buildings in the big cities. So here's my question. Why don't you become the bank? If you can borrow money at a low rate and safely and securely lend it out at a higher rate, you can make a fortune off the spread. Now you're making money off the bank's money. Don't you just love it? Incidentally, if you aren't using your money, you have got the best rate of return of all. You know what it's called? Infinity. You see, when you have none of your own money invested, you can't measure the return. I know of one particular private lender who loaned out over $1 million in 1 year. And check this out. He borrowed all the money to loan it out and charged twice what he was paying. He made over $50,000 net in his pocket in just 1 year without putting up a penny of his own money. He put up the bank's money. In fact, he used a credit line so he wouldn't have to pay interest while the money wasn't in use. Folks, he made $50,000 using the bank's money. Well, I'm sure you have other questions concerning private lending, so I'm going to address right now the most common questions from my private lenders. First question. The most often question I hear is, can you use your IRA or your 401k to make these loans? And the answer is absolutely yes, you bet you can. In fact, it's a great use for them, and what better way to go than tax-deferred, or in the case of a Roth IRA, tax-free. If it's your IRA, it must be, now listen to this, if it's your IRA, it must be self-directed. Now you ask, what is self-directed? This is easy to accomplish, and it's only a matter of moving it to an administrator of your choice. And then you can start making private loans and truly start self-directing it. I know several lenders that take the money out of their private plan and shift it into their own self-directed IRAs. You might want to consider the same thing if it applies to your circumstances and if your company plan doesn't have a history of a high rate of return that you're happy with. Second question, is this a security or a mortgage pool? The answer is yes and no. Technically, any debt instrument is a security, but it's not a security that you're going to need a license for or have to register with the SEC or anything like that nature. You will own the whole loan with no other participants. You're in control all the way, which in itself makes this a better investment than any other vehicle I know. Only when loans are pooled does it become a security. Now, when I find a house, I know what it takes to get the job done. If I need to borrow more than you have available, then I'll have another private lender come to the table, or in some cases, I can fund the deals with more than one investor by simply giving one investor a first mortgage or deed of trust and the other investor a second mortgage. Two separate loans, but secured by the same property. Of course, the second mortgage holder will know it's a second mortgage and would be willing to accept the inferior position to the first mortgage in exchange for even a higher rate of return than the first deed of trust. But frankly, it really shouldn't matter, as long as the total loan-to-value ratio does not exceed 75% of the after-repaired value. For example, let's talk numbers. Let's say I've got a property I've found, looks like the numbers will work, and let's say the property's value is $100,000. So I'm not going to allow my investors to invest more than $75,000. Well, as the numbers work, I need to borrow $75,000 of the $100,000 property. Now, I can split the loan into a $50,000 first mortgage and a $25,000 second mortgage. Both loans are still well secured, follow this, because the total loan-to-value ratio does not exceed 75% of the after-repaired value of the property. Third question, who handles the paperwork in this kind of transaction? Well, it won't be me and it won't be you. You should, and I will never allow you to write a check directly to me or to my company. All real estate closings should be done, and as long as it's being done with me, will be done by a real estate attorney, title company, or escrow company. Your check will be made out directly to the closing agent for the gross amount of the loan. All closing costs, and this is important, are paid by me. You, the investor, pay no closing costs. This is standard procedure in my program, just like any other loan done from anywhere else, regardless of who the lender is. It then becomes the real estate attorney's responsibility to receive your funds, make sure that all the documents are in place to secure your investment. So you don't do any paperwork. You simply agree to make the loan and get the money to the real estate attorney when it's time. Next question. You may ask, how am I protected against fire loss and making sure the title is clear of any other liens? Answer, first of all, I purchase title insurance as part of the closing cost on all purchases to ensure we have a clear and clean deed, and it will be issued naming you, the lender, as the insured. You see, this protects you against title defects which could affect your collateral. Plus, I purchase fire insurance as part of the closing cost. I want the fire insurance company to name you, the lender, right on the policy, so if the house burns down or whatever act of God takes it out, you get a check for the full amount of your loan. Now, when you receive your package after the closing, it will contain the original note and a copy of the deed of trust, which has been recorded at the courthouse. Again, the real estate attorney represents you and makes all this easy for you and ensures proper execution. Next question, is this a long-term investment? Well, that's up to you and me. That's the beautiful part of this program. Most loans are interest only and range from 1 year to 3 year balloons with all the principal due when the property is sold. However, this can be arranged any way you want it to be arranged. It comes down to whatever it takes to make your investment needs and your investment plan work. Of course, the longer the money stays out at a higher rate of return, the faster it's going to grow for you. If it's interest only, you're going to earn interest on the entire principal all the time. And if you get a little piece of the principal every month on an amortized loan, that little piece is no longer receiving a higher rate of return. So most of my private lenders like to keep the money out and collect interest only or have it accrue interest. Next question. Is making private loans really a safe investment? Well, if you apply common sense and don't break the rules I have in place to protect you, it's as safe as any other high-yield investment and a whole lot safer than most. In fact, in my opinion, it's a lot safer than the stock market. Stop and think about it. With stocks, you're betting on companies you know very little about, and the volatility of the market is out of your control. You can do well one year and get wiped out the next. Every day you're wondering whether you're gaining or losing, going up and down. Is my stock increasing? Is it decreasing? And the only choice you get to make is when to buy or when to sell. Now, that's risky in my book. I don't care how good you are. The fact remains you don't get to make the rules in the stock market. Your investment is at the mercy of the ever-changing circumstances. Now, on the other hand, compare that to private mortgage loans. With private loans that we've been talking about, your return is fixed and won't change regardless of whether the market is up or down or sideways. While the stock market spirals downward and other investors are jumping out of the windows, you'll be smiling because today's fickle circumstances does not affect your money. You see, your loans are secured by real estate that you can see, and they aren't going anywhere regardless of what the stock market does. You have a large hedge factor to protect yourself if things don't go as planned. You get to make the rules, not be a slave to somebody else's rules. Now, don't you like that? The term, the rate, the conditions are what you and I say they are. There's no guesswork as to what's going to happen. You and I will be building our business relationship that could lead to other lucrative opportunities or joint ventures. You see, when people like us build wealth together and prosper from each other's efforts, it sometimes leads to even other opportunities. I don't know of any other investment opportunity that gives the safety, the stability, and high rate return that private lending offers. I want to thank you for taking the time to listen in and learn about private lending. As a potential private lender, I'm sure you may have some questions. Just get back in touch with Scott and your questions will get answered right away. I'm wishing you a very profitable future by becoming Scott's next private lender.
Friends, there's no doubt that Jay has shed some light on the wonderful world of stress-free investing. Simply call the number on the front of this CD. Scott is waiting to hear from you.